August 12, 1976. The parking lot stretches for what feels like miles. Asphalt still warm from fresh concrete, radiating heat back into the humid Ohio evening. The air smells like tar mixed with summer grass from the fields that surrounded this land until 18 months ago when the bulldozers arrived and erased everything. Above, the sky burns orange and pink as the sun drops behind the largest enclosed shopping mall in the world. 2.2 million square feet of climate-controlled retail space. More than 200 stores. 4 department store anchors standing like cathedral spires at each corner of this massive commercial temple. This is Randall Park Mall, the jewel of North Randall, Ohio, the pride of Cleveland's eastern suburb. Tonight, 20,000 people will walk through those doors for the grand opening ceremony. They'll see fountains taller than houses, water cascading in patterns choreographed by engineers who usually design displays for Las Vegas casinos, escalators that seem to rise into infinity, carrying shoppers between 2 levels of what looks like paradise, light pouring through skylights the size of football fields, illuminating corridors so long you could jog a mile without leaving the building. They'll smell cinnamon rolls from the bakery, leather from the shoe stores, chlorine from the fountain mist mixing with perfume from the cosmetics counters, and the chemical newness of carpet that's never been walked on. They'll believe this place will stand forever. They'll believe they're witnessing the birth of something permanent and indestructible. Stories like Randall Park are warnings written in concrete and broken glass. If you're finding value in these retail autopsies, in understanding the history hidden in abandoned buildings and failed business models, subscribe. Your support lets us keep investigating these forgotten places. There's more to uncover. More stories buried in the ruins. Let's continue with 1976. But what they won't see tonight, what nobody could possibly see beneath those marble floors and behind the perfectly arranged window displays, is that this monument to American prosperity was born at exactly the wrong moment in history. Rust had already begun spreading through the steel belt, like cancer eating through healthy tissue. Factories lining the Cuyahoga River were closing their gates for the last time. Neighborhoods surrounding this retail palace were emptying as families packed belongings and moved south, chasing jobs that were disappearing faster than anyone could count. And the fountain at the center of this palace, the one that cost more than most houses in the surrounding suburbs, would one day sit dry and filled with trash in a building so thoroughly abandoned that actual trees would grow through its collapsed roof, and birds would nest in the girders where fluorescent lights once hummed. This isn't the story of a mall. This is what happens when America builds a temple to a future that will never arrive. The fountain. Start there, because it matters more than you might think. 3 tiers of Italian marble, each one hand-carved by craftsmen in Carrara and shipped across the Atlantic in wooden crates lined with velvet to prevent damage during the ocean crossing. Water cascading in perfect choreographed patterns, programmed by the same engineers who would later design the Bellagio fountains, though this was decades before that Las Vegas landmark even existed, surrounded by tropical plants imported from specialized Florida nurseries at enormous expense. Living ferns and broad-leafed palms that required daily care from a team of professional horticulturists who understood soil chemistry and humidity levels and the precise amount of water each species needed to thrive under artificial growing lights. This wasn't just decoration placed by some interior designer flipping through a catalog. Theater. A statement about permanence and wealth and the belief that beauty could be manufactured and maintained forever if you just spent enough money and hired the right experts. Children threw pennies into it and made wishes, coins glinting as they tumbled through clear water before settling at the bottom among hundreds of other coins thrown by hundreds of other children. Teenagers met dates beside it, using the fountain as a landmark in the vast interior landscape of identical corridors and identical storefronts. Meet me at the fountain at 7. Everyone knew which fountain. There was only one that mattered. Old men sat on its cool marble edge and watched the world move past them, the water providing white noise that drowned out the muzak playing through ceiling speakers, giving them a moment of peace in a building designed to encourage constant movement. In 1976, that fountain represented everything the mall promised to the 20,000 people who walked through the doors on opening night. Abundance that would never run dry, permanence that would outlast their grandchildren, beauty that would never fade or require maintenance, water that would flow forever, wishes that might actually come true if you believed hard enough and threw your penny with enough conviction. The water danced under colored lights embedded in the basin floor. Blue, then green, then gold, then red, then purple. then back to blue in a cycle that repeated every 3 minutes exactly. The lights were synchronized with the water patterns, creating effects that looked almost magical to people who'd never seen anything like it. The sound echoed through the corridors for hundreds of feet in every direction. Some people found it deeply soothing, almost meditative. Others found it slightly unsettling, this artificial nature placed in the middle of a commercial space. Parents told children to make a wish. Close your eyes tight. Think of what you want most in the world. The children closed their eyes so tight, their faces scrunched up, gripped pennies hard enough to leave impressions in their small palms, and threw the coins into the water with all the faith that childhood allows. Some wished for toys they'd seen in window displays. G.I. Joe, action figures with kung fu grip, Barbie dolls with the dream house, Hot Wheels, racetracks that looped in impossible circles. Some wished for friends, for popularity at school, for the ability to fit in among classmates who seemed to instinctively understand social rules that baffled them. Some wished their parents would stop fighting, that the screaming matches late at night would finally end, that their fathers would come home from the factory in better moods. The fountain collected these wishes like a basin collecting rain, gave nothing back except the illusion that wishing mattered. That desire alone could reshape reality. Every week, maintenance workers in gray uniforms drained the basin and collected all the coins, hundreds of dollars in pennies and nickels and dimes. The official signs claimed the money was donated to local charities. Whether that actually happened is unclear. What's certain is the wishes didn't come true. Toys were bought or not bought based on family economics, not cosmic intervention. Friendships formed or didn't based on personality and circumstance. Parents kept fighting or got divorced or stayed together in quiet misery. The fountain collected thousands of wishes and gave nothing back but temporary comfort. Keep that image in your mind. The fountain in 1976. Clean, functioning perfectly, beautiful, surrounded by people who believed in what it represented. We'll come back to it exactly 2 more times, and each appearance will tell you everything about what happened. Edward DeBartolo Sr. dreamed this place into existence, not the famous one, not the son who'd own the San Francisco 49ers and build a football dynasty. The father, a construction magnate from Youngstown, Ohio, who'd already built shopping malls across America, like a man laying railroad tracks across virgin territory. He'd built his first shopping center in 1949, just a small strip mall with a grocery store and a few other shops. By 1976, he controlled more retail square footage than any other developer in the country. Shopping centers in Florida, California, Arizona, Texas, Pennsylvania, each one following the same template: enclosed, climate-controlled, anchored by department stores, surrounded by parking lots. But Randall Park was different. Not just another suburban shopping center. A statement, a declaration that Cleveland, that the entire Rust Belt still mattered, that the future still belonged to places like this, that the industrial heartland wasn't dying, it was evolving, transforming from a landscape of factories and steel mills into something new, something cleaner, something where families could shop in air-conditioned comfort while their fathers' jobs disappeared overseas. DeBartolo didn't invent the shopping mall. Victor Gruen did that in 1956 with Southdale Center in Edina, Minnesota. Gruen was an Austrian immigrant, a socialist who'd fled fascism in Europe and somehow ended up designing the physical infrastructure for American consumer capitalism. The irony was apparently lost on him, or maybe he understood it perfectly and built shopping malls anyway because that's where the money was. Southdale was revolutionary. The first fully enclosed, climate-controlled shopping center in the United States. 2 levels, 72 stores, a central garden court with live birds and tropical plants. It was an instant success. Within a year, developers across the country started copying the formula. DeBartolo perfected what Gruen invented. He understood something about post-war America that most developers missed. People didn't just want to shop, they wanted escape. Climate control that made every day feel like spring. Safety, or at least the illusion of it, which is often good enough. Community without complication. The aesthetics of Main Street without crime, parking problems, unpredictable weather, uncomfortable encounters with people unlike themselves. They wanted a simulation of public life that was actually private property, where security could remove anyone undesirable and the only requirement for belonging was spending money. They wanted downtown without poor people, community without commitment, public space that was corporate property designed to maximize consumption while minimizing friction. DeBartolo gave them exactly that. They loved him for it. They drove from miles away. They brought their children. They spent money they didn't have on things they didn't need with smiles because the mall made them feel like they were part of something important. part of the future. Randall Park Mall opened August the 12th, 1976, with numbers that sound fictional. Parking for 10,000 cars spread across acres that had been farmland 18 months earlier. 210 stores ranging from tiny boutiques to massive department store anchors. 5 anchors total, which was unusual. Most malls had 2 or 3. Randall Park had 5. May Company, Hybees, JCPenney, Sears, Joseph Horn, each one a destination, each employing hundreds. The hallways connecting these anchors were so long you could get lost. Some people did. Security found elderly shoppers wandering at closing, disoriented by the scale. The mall had its own zip code, its own weather, its own security force, its own reality separate from the declining city. Step inside in February when it was 15 degrees outside and it was always 72 inside. Always bright under thousands of fluorescent lights. Always playing soft jazz through hidden speakers. Instrumental versions of songs everyone vaguely recognized but couldn't name. The music was carefully selected. Inoffensive, pleasant, forgettable. It created calm that encouraged browsing. No rock and roll, no disco, nothing polarizing, just smooth instrumentals played at volume calculated by consultants. Loud enough to mask hundreds of people, quiet enough for conversation. First year, 30 million people walked through those doors. 30 million. In a metropolitan area of 2 million people, every person in Greater Cleveland went 15 times on average. Obviously not everyone. For certain populations, the mall wasn't occasional. It was regular weekly life. Some families went every Saturday, some twice a week, some teenagers every day after school. Families drove an hour just to window shop, to participate in consumption theater without consuming. School field trips ended there. First dates at the food court, marriage proposals beside the fountain. The mall became the center of social life. It wasn't just a mall. It was replacement for everything being lost. Town squares emptying as people moved to suburbs designed without centers. Main streets dying as local businesses closed. Churches people attended less frequently. Community centers that couldn't compete with climate-controlled commercial space. Randall Park filled the void, where you went to see people, be seen, participate in something larger, even if that something was just shopping. But here's what nobody talks about. Randall Park was always a parasite. It didn't create wealth, didn't generate new value. It extracted wealth and concentrated it. Every dollar spent there was a dollar not spent downtown. Every anchor that opened meant another department store closing on Euclid Avenue. Every suburban housewife who drove to North Randall meant another small business boarding up windows. The mall sold itself as progress, the future, natural evolution. But it was really a vampire, beautiful and sterile, draining life from everything around it. DeBartolo knew this. You don't build an empire by being naive, but men like him don't build empires by worrying about consequences. They identify desire and sell it back at a markup. They find what people want more than being good neighbors and give them permission to indulge. In 1976, America desired escape more than anything. Escape from crumbling cities, rising crime, racial tension, factory closures, a future that looked bleak, escape from reality itself. So they escaped to the mall, spent money they didn't have on things they didn't need in a place designed to make them forget their economic foundations were collapsing. For a while, it worked. The illusion held. The fountain kept running, and nobody wanted to think about what would happen when the money ran out. The economics were brutal in their simplicity. DeBartolo built the structure using his capital and bank loans. He'd lease spaces. Anchor stores paid almost nothing, sometimes $1 per year, sometimes free rent for a decade. Why? Because they were the draw. May Company, Hybees. These weren't just stores, institutions, retail royalty. Their presence legitimized everything. Without them, just a big empty building. With them, a destination worth driving to. Smaller stores paid premium rent, $20 per square foot in 1976, $30 for prime locations, $40 for the best spots. They made the mall's profits. Anchors brought traffic. Smaller tenants paid bills, a perfect predatory system. And they were trapped. Once you opened in Randall Park, you couldn't leave. Your lease was ironclad, 10 years minimum. Your customers expected you there. If you relocated downtown, you'd lose everything. The customer base wouldn't follow. They'd find your competitor 2 stores down. The mall created a captive market while giving customers the illusion of choice. The mall was a machine, designed to turn foot traffic into money with ruthless efficiency. Every design element calculated. No windows, so you couldn't tell what time it was. Layout forcing you past hundreds of stores. Food courts positioned centrally, so you'd stop and eat. Temperature kept slightly cool, so you'd keep moving. Music designed to reduce anxiety and encourage browsing. For a while, it worked perfectly. Gears meshed. Revenue flowed. Investors collected dividends. Everyone believed it would last forever because it was so perfectly designed that failure seemed impossible. American capitalism at peak confidence, the machine running at maximum. But machines break, especially machines depending on continuous growth in a finite world. And the larger the machine, the more catastrophic the failure. By 1980, Randall Park employed 4,000 people directly, more than some entire towns in Ohio. That's not counting indirect employment. Delivery drivers bringing inventory every morning, maintenance contractors servicing HVAC systems, suppliers providing everything from toilet paper to the plants around the fountain, food court vendors, the entire ecosystem, probably 10,000 jobs or more, cashiers earning minimum, janitors working nights, security guards walking endless miles, store managers trying to hit sales targets, teenagers at their first jobs learning to show up on time, college students saving for tuition, single mothers selling makeup, stretching paychecks to cover rent and childcare, people building lives in gaps between consumption machinery. Above them all, invisible, the management company collected rent like clockwork. First of every month, payments flowing upward, from stores to property management to investors. Money moving up, extracting value, concentrating wealth, while workers struggled on wages, barely keeping pace with inflation. The mall operated on rhythm so precise you could set your watch. Stores opened at 9 sharp. Morning shift at 8:30, unlocking gates, counting registers, arranging displays exactly as corporate mandated. Everything perfect by opening. Every hanger facing the same direction. Every stack the same height. Retail was theatre. Stage set before audience arrived. Lunch rush hit noon like clockwork. Office workers from surrounding corporate parks. Secretaries on lunch breaks. Insurance adjusters. Accountants. Managers escaping cubicles. Retirees killing time, walking slowly past storefronts without particular destination. Real crowds came after 4, after school, after work. By 6, the food court was chaos. Every table filled, lines 20 deep, hundreds of conversations creating a roar drowning out the jazz, families eating together, teenagers performing social rituals, elderly couples sharing pizza, smell of grease and cinnamon, and Chinese food mixing with chlorine from the fountain. By 8, teenagers took over completely. Dropped off by parents grateful for peace, left to wander with a few dollars for arcade games or pizza. Most weren't there to shop. They walked corridors, endlessly performing adolescent rituals in the only space suburban geography allowed. Who was dating who said what, who was in or out. The eternal drama of being young and bored and trying to figure out who you'd become. By 10, janitors emerged from service corridors behind the stores, sweeping, mopping, emptying overflowing trash, cleaning bathrooms, making everything perfect for tomorrow. By midnight, the building sat empty except security making rounds through 2 million square feet of darkness, checking locks, looking for intruders who might have hidden in storage rooms. Efficient, profitable, generating millions monthly, and completely unsustainable. But nobody knew that yet in 1980. Or if they knew, they didn't care. Money too good, system too established, future unimaginable as anything but more of the same. First cracks appeared so slowly nobody noticed. Or they noticed and didn't want to acknowledge what they were seeing. In 1979, just 3 years after opening, the Chrysler plant laid off 3,000 workers in a single day. Not permanent closure, just temporary. Economy will recover, they said. Workers took unemployment and waited for the callback that never came. In 1980, Republic Steel cut its workforce by half. 5,000 jobs gone overnight, announced in a press release 3 paragraphs long. The steel mills along the Cuyahoga River started going dark, one by one. Blast furnaces shutting down. Assembly lines stopping. The sound of industry that had defined the city for a century began fading to silence that unsettled people who'd lived there their whole lives. Jobs disappeared. Paychecks stopped. Mortgages defaulted, foreclosures multiplied. People who'd spent the 70s shopping at Randall Park suddenly couldn't afford to shop anywhere. They needed food, heat during Cleveland winters, to make mortgage payments. Shopping became a luxury they no longer possessed. But the mall didn't adjust. It couldn't. Infrastructure already built, leases signed, rents set at levels assuming growth. The machine needed the same capital regardless of what was happening outside. So stores tried to adapt on their own. Sales every week instead of every season. 2-for-1 deals. Buy one, get one free. Clearance racks growing larger. Quality dropping. Inventory getting cheaper. Clothes made overseas instead of Ohio. Shoes lasting one season instead of years. Shoppers who still came noticed. Magic fading. Promise of quality being replaced by disposability. Then competitors arrived. Because retail success breeds imitators faster than profits. Randall Park was so successful, it inspired a dozen copycats within 50 miles. Smaller malls, more convenient locations. Severance Town Center expanded aggressively through the 80s. Richmond Town Square opened 1981. Great Northern kept expanding. Beechwood Place opened 1978, smaller but upscale, catering to wealthy suburbs where doctors and lawyers and executives lived. These people had real money. They didn't want to shop alongside factory workers. They wanted exclusivity. Beechwood gave it to them. Each new mall siphoned customers. Each offered same climate control, parking, escape, but newer, shinier, fewer poor people. The market was saturating. Only so many retail dollars in Greater Cleveland. Now divided among more competitors fighting over a shrinking pie as industrial employment collapsed. DeBartolo's empire started fracturing. He'd built too many malls too close together. They were cannibalizing each other. Randall Park still had size, still had anchors, still had name recognition, but lost the shine, the newness, the sense of being at the cutting edge. By 1985, less than a decade after opening, hallways once packed now had space. You could walk May Company to JCPenney on Saturday afternoon without bumping into anyone. The fountain still ran, 3 tiers of marble still cascading water, costing thousands monthly to maintain. But fewer people stopped to watch. Fewer children threw pennies. The basin cleaned weekly in early years was now cleaned quarterly. Wishes dropping as fast as shoppers. Management tried everything. New promotions every month, celebrity appearances by local news anchors and minor sports figures, mall walking clubs for seniors in morning hours. They'd unlock doors at 7 and elderly couples would power walk the perimeter in tracksuits, getting exercise while stores stayed dark. The mall became a community center, not because management cared about community, they cared about foot traffic. Appearance of vitality. Mall walkers didn't spend money, but made the place feel less empty to actual paying customers arriving later. But community centers don't generate revenue. Randall Park needed shoppers, not walkers. The fountain appeared in a newspaper photograph in 1988, second appearance of our leitmotif. The photographer came to document the walking club for a feel-good human interest story. But what the photo captured was the fountain in the background. Water still ran, but the choreographed lights were gone. Budget cuts. Now, just a simple timer. No sophisticated programming. One tier stained brown from a leak maintenance hadn't fixed. Budget for non-essential repairs slashed. Tropical plants replaced mostly with plastic. Real ones cost too much to water and fertilize. Plastic looked almost the same from 20 feet. Almost. Teenagers still congregated around it, but different teenagers. Not children of engineers anymore. The suburbs had changed. White flight reversed. Wealthy moved further out. Working class moved into aging neighborhoods around Randall Park. Houses built in the 50s for upwardly mobile families now occupied by people barely hanging on. Working 2 jobs. Watching property values decline year after year. Mall's customer base shifted from middle class to working poor. Boutiques closed first. Upscale stores selling designer clothes and jewelry. Customer base relocated to Beechwood or moved shopping to catalogs. What replaced them was cheaper. Payless, fashion bug, dollar stores, merchandise that looked acceptable at first but fell apart after a few washes. The mall becoming something it was never designed to be, a discount center for people with limited options. Architecture still screamed prestige, but inventory whispered poverty. The fountain sat in the center, water trickling down stained marble, surrounded by plastic plants and fewer people. A monument to what had been, transforming into a memorial. Ownership changed hands 1987. DeBartolo sold to a real estate investment trust in Connecticut. Men who'd never been to Cleveland and never would. This moment matters more than it seems. When Randall Park stopped being a business and became an asset to be extracted, a balance sheet line item. New owners didn't care about the mall as a place or a community gathering spot. Didn't care about workers or shoppers. Cared about quarterly returns and debt service and capitalization rates. About squeezing every dollar before abandoning it. They raised rents immediately and significantly. Not because market conditions justified it. Stores were closing. foot traffic declining, but they needed revenue to service acquisition debt. Smaller stores couldn't handle it, margins already razor thin. A 10% increase meant closing. They closed. Empty storefronts multiplied like cancer cells, each making the mall less attractive, driving away more customers, accelerating downward spiral. Standard retail practice says healthy malls maintain 95% occupancy minimum. Anything below 90 is troubled. By 1990, Randall Park was 70%. By 1995, 50%. By 2000, entire wings sat dark. Security gates down over store after store. Corridors that bustled now echoed with lonely footsteps, or didn't echo at all. May Company still open, JCPenney hanging on. Sears remained. These anchors had leases running decades, contracts ironclad, commitments they couldn't break even as the surrounding mall died. But between them, vast vacant real estate gathered dust. Lights turned off in empty section. Climate control reduced or eliminated. Summer, abandoned wings hit 90 degrees. Winter dropped to the 40s. The mall developing microclimates as management cut every cost. Owners didn't care about decay. As long as anchors paid minimal rent and maintained some facade of viability, the property held theoretical paper value. They could keep borrowing against it, keep extracting management fees, keep bleeding the carcass while telling investors the mall was still viable. This is late-stage capitalism, stripped of rhetoric. Build something magnificent, extract maximum value over the shortest time frame. When exhausted, abandon and move on to the next extraction. No loyalty, no responsibility to community or workers, just pure extraction until nothing remains. Security problems started mid-90s and escalated. Car break-ins in the parking lot becoming routine. Shoplifting epidemic. A shooting in the food court, 1998. Two teenagers arguing over a girl. One pulled a gun. Shots fired. Nobody killed, but a bystander hit in the leg. Blood on the terrazzo floor. Local news covered it extensively for a week. Every broadcast leading with footage of police cars in the parking lot, yellow crime scene tape, worried parents interviewed about how they'd never bring their children there again. After that, suburban families stopped coming entirely. Those with money, with choices about where to shop, chose anywhere but Randall Park. The mall became the domain of those with nowhere else. Teenagers skipping school because it was warmer than the streets. Elderly escaping loneliness, sitting on benches for hours. And people coming for air conditioning and bathrooms, not shopping. Management hired more security guards. Didn't help. The problems were inherent to what the mall had become. They installed cameras throughout the corridors. Didn't help. Cameras record crime but don't prevent it. They implemented a juvenile escort policy, 1999. Anyone under 18 needed adult accompaniment after 6 p.m. weekends. This helped marginally with security, but drove away remaining legitimate customers. Families with teenage children stopped coming because the policy implied their children weren't safe. Food court vendors started closing early. Business didn't justify staying open until the mall's official 9 p.m. closing. By 2000, only 3 restaurants remained in a space designed for 12. Chinese food, pizza, burgers. They'd stay open until maybe 7, then pull gates and leave. The food court would sit empty after that, tables and chairs arranged in neat rows, fluorescent lights humming overhead, nobody there to use them, just empty space and the smell of old grease and industrial cleaning chemicals. The mall was dying. Everyone knew. Employees knew. The few remaining store owners knew. Mall management knew. The investment trust that owned the property knew. But retail death is different than biological death. In nature, death comes with mercy. Heart stops, and it's over. In retail, death is prolonged agony, slow decomposition, while the body is still technically alive, still operating, still maintaining the fiction that tomorrow might be better. The anchor stores kept Randall Park on life support through the late 90s and early 2000s. As long as May Company and JCPenney and Sears remained open, the mall couldn't officially die. Their leases guaranteed the building stayed open, lights on in main corridors, heat running, bathrooms cleaned, but between the anchors, only silence and darkness and emptiness that felt almost physical. In 2000, May Company was acquired by Federated Department Stores, which consolidated it into Kaufmann's, which became Macy's 2006 as part of nationwide rebranding. Each merger meant layoffs, restructuring, less investment in marginal locations like Randall Park. Store managers who'd worked 20 years were given severance packages and told their positions were being eliminated. Corporate headquarters in Cincinnati didn't care about Randall Park's history or what it meant to Cleveland. They cared about consolidating redundant locations and cutting costs. Randall Park was redundant. Other Macy's locations served wealthier customers who spent more money. The writing was on the wall, spray-painted in letters 10 feet tall. September 2002. The announcement came without fanfare or warning. No press conference, no official statement. Just a memo to employees 2 weeks ahead, and a notice posted in the local business journal most people didn't read. Macy's would close its Randall Park location. Last day, January 15th, 2003. Everything must go. Final clearance, liquidation sale. Death rattles of department store retail playing out in discounts that got deeper every week until even the fixtures were for sale. JCPenney followed 6 months later with the same playbook. Then Sears in 2004, the last anchor to abandon ship. Without the anchors, without the draws that brought people in the first place, there was absolutely no point in anyone else staying. The remaining tenants, maybe 20 stores scattered across 2 million square feet like survivors of a plague, evacuated like refugees, fleeing a sinking ship. Some relocated to other malls, still functioning. Some closed entirely, owners declaring bankruptcy and walking away. None stayed. By March 2009, Randall Park Mall officially closed its doors for the final time. 33 years from grand opening to abandonment. Single generation from birth to death. But here's where it gets strange. Here's where it becomes uniquely American in its grotesque absurdity. The mall didn't disappear after closing. It couldn't. The building was too massive to demolish without spending millions nobody wanted to spend. Too expensive to maintain. Too worthless to sell. The real estate market had collapsed in 2008. Nobody wanted 2 million square feet of obsolete retail in a declining Rust Belt suburb. The property had negative value. It would cost more to demolish properly than the empty land would be worth afterward. So it just sat there, locked and empty and slowly rotting under the Ohio weather. First break-ins happened within months of final closing. Vandals smashed the glass entrance doors, which nobody bothered to replace or even board up. Graffiti appeared on pristine white walls within weeks. Tags and throw-ups and elaborate pieces transforming the walls into canvases of urban decay. Homeless found their way inside almost immediately, setting up camps in abandoned stores, sleeping on carpet that had once seen thousands of feet daily and now saw none. They'd build small fires in winter to stay warm, not caring that smoke stained ceiling tiles black or that they might burn the whole structure down. Scrappers came next, professional thieves who made their living stripping abandoned buildings of anything with resale value. They took everything that could be removed and sold. Copper wiring pulled out of walls, hundreds of pounds sold to recycling centers for cash. Metal fixtures unscrewed and loaded into trucks. HVAC units stolen from the roof using borrowed equipment. The building was being dismantled piece by people who saw value in components even if nobody saw value in the structure as a whole. The roof started leaking within a year. Nobody maintaining it. Nobody patching holes or clearing drains or replacing damaged sections. Water pooled in corridors during rainstorms, creating lakes that would slowly evaporate or seep through floor cracks. Mold bloomed in soaked carpet, black and green and toxic. Ceiling tiles, heavy with water damage, began collapsing. First one, then dozens. Then entire sections caving in, creating mountains of debris in hallways that had once been pristine and carefully maintained. The skylights, those enormous panels of glass that had let natural light flood the corridors, shattered from neglect and vandalism. Some broke from hail, some from rocks thrown by kids exploring. Once the glass was gone, elements came inside without barrier. Rain fell directly onto corridors. Snow accumulated in winter, creating surreal drifts against interior walls. Birds flew in through broken skylights and built nests in rafters and defecated on everything below. Nature reclaimed what humans abandoned with the patient inevitability of entropy. Vegetation pushed through foundation cracks where water had undermined concrete. Small trees sprouted in department store shelves where skylights had collapsed entirely, allowing sunlight and rain to reach soil buried under concrete for 30 years. The climate control that had maintained eternal 72 degrees for decades was gone, shut off to save money. Now, the building experienced seasons for the first time. Summer heat turned the interior into an oven, metal fixtures too hot to touch, air thick and suffocating. Winter, cold froze standing water into irregular ice sheets that would expand and contract, freeze-thaw cycles accelerating structural deterioration. The mall was becoming a genuine ruin, not just abandoned, but actively transforming into something resembling archaeological remains more than recent construction, as if the building was decomposing like organic matter, reverting from human artifice back to raw material. Urban explorers discovered Randall Park around 2010, young photographers with cameras and flashlights, and a fascination with abandonment, with the aesthetic of decay. They'd break in through unsecured entrances, spend hours documenting everything, then post photographs online to forums dedicated to urban exploration. The images went viral in small waves, empty escalators frozen in place, the shattered fountain, corridors stretching into darkness, food court with tables still arranged but covered in dust and bird droppings and ceiling debris. Randall Park became famous again for all the wrong reasons, a symbol, a monument to American decline, proof that nothing lasts, that even our grandest projects will eventually crumble and be forgotten. The photographs circulated on forums dedicated to documenting the death of the American mall, each captioned with brief histories that were half remembered and mostly wrong, but accuracy didn't matter. What mattered was the aesthetic of failure, the beauty in ruins, the photograph as memorial. The fountain appeared in hundreds of these photographs, third and final appearance of our leitmotif, no water. Pumps stripped for scrap years earlier. Italian marble that had cost a fortune was cracked and stained with rust from deteriorating infrastructure above. The basin that had once collected children's pennies and wishes was filled with garbage, fast food wrappers, beer cans, chunks of fallen ceiling, broken glass, and someone, some urban explorer or vandal or person trying to make meaning from ruins, had spray-painted the word "Remember" across one tier in dripping red letters 3 feet tall. Remember what? Remember when this place was alive? Remember when it employed thousands and attracted millions? Remember when it represented the future? Or just remember it existed at all, that it was here, for a brief moment in time, before being erased as thoroughly as if never built? The fountain had become a memorial to itself, a gravestone marking its own death. The city of North Randall tried to force demolition beginning 2012. The structure had become a genuine safety hazard, roof actively collapsing, walls structurally unsound, police responding to trespasser calls weekly, squatters, drug users, teenagers daring each other to explore dangerous ruins. Someone was going to get seriously hurt, killed when a ceiling collapsed or a floor gave way. The liability was enormous, but the owner, a California-based real estate investment company that had acquired the property for essentially nothing after previous owners went bankrupt, refused to cooperate. They wanted the city to pay for demolition, wanted tax incentives for redevelopment, wanted every possible concession extracted before allowing the city to eliminate what had become a dangerous eyesore. Negotiations dragged on for years, lawyers arguing over liability and costs and who was responsible for the mess. Finally, in 2014, the city condemned the entire property through eminent domain, seized it, took it. The legal battle would continue for years, but the city gained possession and immediately began demolition. Work started November 2014, would take 6 months, 6 months of systematic destruction to erase what had taken 2 years to build. Wrecking crews worked methodically, pulling down anchors first. The Macy's came down in clouds of dust and twisted metal and broken glass. JCPenney followed, Sears, each one imploding in controlled demolitions, crashing down in seconds, erasing decades. The hallways were demolished section by section, floor by floor, wall by wall. Backhoes and bulldozers chewing through concrete and drywall and metal framing. Debris was sorted, anything with scrap value separated and sold, rest loaded onto trucks and hauled to landfills, mountains of rubble, entire buildings reduced to fragments. By March 2015, Randall Park Mall no longer existed as a physical structure. 2 million square feet reduced to flat concrete slab, empty parking lots with light posts still standing, bulbs long burned out, like markers in a cemetery denoting graves nobody visits. The fountain, that symbol of abundance and permanence and wishes, was crushed into fragments and buried in a landfill somewhere outside Cleveland. Italian marble that had been imported with such care ended its existence as fill dirt. All the pennies, all the wishes, buried under garbage. What remained was bare ground, empty land, grass growing through cracks in parking lot asphalt, chain link fence surrounding the perimeter to keep people out of emptiness, that held nothing worth protecting. For 3 years, the site sat vacant, just another brownfield in a region filled with them. Former industrial sites, former retail sites, former everything, waiting for someone to imagine a future that justified the cost of building again. Amazon built a fulfillment center on part of the site in 2018, 1 million square feet, fully automated, state-of-the-art logistics. Employs maybe 200 people total, mostly in management and specialized technical roles. The rest is robots, autonomous vehicles moving products from storage to packing station, algorithms deciding most efficient route, mechanical precision replacing human judgment and human labor entirely. Where Randall Park once employed 4,000 people, where 30 million people once gathered annually to shop and socialize and participate in something resembling community, there's now a windowless box where algorithms optimize shipping route. No fountains, no skylights, no food courts, no places for teenagers to congregate or elderly people to walk or families to spend time together. Just pure efficiency. Just function stripped of all aesthetics except the aesthetics of optimization. This is what replaced the American mall. This is what comes after we're done pretending consumption could substitute for community. But let's not romanticize Randall Park beyond what it actually was. Yes, it was a gathering place. Yes, it provided jobs. Yes, people have genuine nostalgia for time spent there. But it was also the instrument that killed downtown Cleveland. The reason Euclid Avenue emptied out. The manifestation of white middle-class desire to escape the complications of urban life. To shop and socialize in an environment where poverty and racial difference and urban decay could be excluded by design. The mall promised community but delivered isolation. Each family arriving in separate cars, shopping separately, returning to separate homes. It promised public space but was actually private property, where you could be removed at management's discretion for any reason. It promised abundance, but was built on a model of planned obsolescence, where last year's fashions had to be discarded to make room for this year's, where nothing was meant to last. It promised permanence, but was always designed to be temporary, to extract maximum value over a generation and then be abandoned when economics shifted. The people mourning Randall Park are mourning a lie. Or maybe they're mourning the fact that even the lie has been taken away, that there's not even the illusion of community anymore, that we've moved past pretending consumption creates connection. Now we just order online and packages arrive at our doors from warehouses we'll never see, delivered by workers we'll never meet, purchased through interfaces designed to eliminate all human contact. At least the mall pretended to be human. At least it maintained the fiction that shopping could be social, that you might see your neighbors there, that you might run into friends, that you were part of something larger than your individual transaction. The Amazon warehouse doesn't pretend anything. It is what it is: efficient, automated, inhuman. The story of Randall Park is not unique. It's not even particularly unusual. Rolling Acres Mall in Akron, closed 2008, demolished 2017. Euclid Square Mall in Euclid, closed 2016, demolished 2018. Parmatown Mall in Parma, closed 2022. Fate uncertain, each one following the same trajectory. Built during boom times when America believed in perpetual growth, thrived for a single generation, declined as the economy shifted and competition increased. Abandoned when maintenance costs exceeded revenue. Demolished when ruins became too dangerous to ignore. There are estimated to be over 1,000 dead malls across America. Thousands of empty department stores and darkened food courts and dry fountains. They're the fossils of late 20th century capitalism. Future archaeologists will excavate them and wonder what we were thinking. What kind of civilization builds palaces dedicated to shopping? What kind of people confuse consumption with community? What kind of economic system requires constant growth in a finite world? But here's the thing about Randall Park that makes it worth remembering beyond just another dead mall story. It was the biggest. When it opened in 1976, it was the largest enclosed shopping mall in the entire world. The absolute peak of the form. The pinnacle of what shopping mall developers thought they could achieve. And it failed anyway. Size didn't save it. Ambition didn't protect it. Being the best at what you do doesn't matter when the fundamentals shift underneath you. That's the lesson. That's what Randall Park teaches anyone willing to pay attention. Nothing is too big to fail. No institution is permanent. No building is eternal. The monuments we think will outlast us often don't outlast our careers. We build temples to our current beliefs, and they become ruins within our lifetimes when those beliefs change or prove untenable. The American mall peaked in 1990, approximately 1,900 enclosed shopping centers operating nationwide. Since then, we've lost roughly 25%. More than 400 malls closed between 2010 and 2020. Another 100 are projected to close by 2030. The survivors are adapting desperately. Mixed-use developments that combine apartments and offices with retail. Experiential shopping, where you're not just buying products, but purchasing experiences, whatever that means. Entertainment complexes with movie theaters and restaurants and rock climbing walls. Anything to remain relevant in a world that's moved past the need for physical shopping spaces. But these adaptations are last gasps. Desperate attempts to make retail matter in an economy that has changed at its core. Amazon didn't kill the American mall. The mall was already dying from obesity and arrogance and demographic shifts, and the simple fact that driving to a building to buy things you can order from your couch makes less and less sense. Amazon just accelerated the inevitable, just offered a more efficient alternative to an outdated model. Click a button, package arrives tomorrow, why would you drive to a mall? Let's talk about what was actually lost when Randall Park closed. Not the building itself, which was just concrete and steel and glass arranged in a particular configuration. Not the stores, which were just interchangeable corporate franchises that existed in 100 other locations. What was lost was the illusion of public space. There was a time when true public space existed in America. Town squares where people gathered for political rallies and farmers market. Main streets where you could walk and shop and run into neighbors and feel connected to your community. Libraries and parks where you could exist as a human being without being expected to spend money. The mall wasn't public space. It was private property that tolerated your presence as long as you might eventually make a purchase. But it pretended to be public. It created the illusion that you were welcome there, even if you weren't buying anything. The mall walkers getting their exercise, the teenagers hanging out without money, the elderly people sitting on benches watching the crowd pass. Management tolerated them because the presence of people attracted more people. An empty mall feels threatening and dead. A crowded mall feels safe and vibrant and worth visiting. But as the economics shifted and margins tightened, tolerance disappeared. The surviving malls became exclusive by deliberate design. Higher prices to keep out the poor, better security to remove anyone who didn't look like they belonged, policies that explicitly or implicitly excluded anyone who wasn't a serious shopper with disposable income. The benches were removed so people couldn't loiter. The fountains were shut down to save money. The comfortable spaces were eliminated. Management made it clear through design and policy that you weren't welcome unless you were actively spending money. We lost the illusion of public space. We lost the accidental mixing of different economic classes and age groups in the same physical location. The working-class teenager and the wealthy retiree might both shop at Randall Park in its heyday. They might pass each other in the corridors. They might briefly exist in the same space and be reminded that people unlike themselves actually exist in the world. That doesn't happen anymore. The wealthy shop in different places, different malls catering specifically to them, different websites with algorithms that show them different products. The working class shops at Walmart or Dollar General or online when they can afford shipping. The spaces are segregated by algorithm and economic access and geography. Randall Park, for all its many flaws and its role in destroying downtown Cleveland and accelerating suburban sprawl, was briefly a place where the entire region came together. It was brief, maybe a decade at most, from about 1976 to 1986. But it happened. Different neighborhoods, different economic classes, different ages, all circulating through the same corridors, looking at the same fountain, eating in the same food court. And now it's gone. That possibility is gone. We live in more isolated times than our parents did, more segregated by class and race and geography, despite all our technology supposedly connecting us. The photographs of abandoned malls circulate online as what critics call ruin porn or tragedy porn. People consume these images the same way they consume photographs of Detroit's abandoned Packard plant or Chernobyl's empty apartment blocks, or any other monument to failure and abandonment. There's a deep fascination with decay, with physical evidence of failure, with the aesthetic of things falling apart. It makes us feel something complex, nostalgia mixed with superiority. We remember when these places were alive, and we're somehow grateful that we're not personally responsible for their death, even though we absolutely are responsible. We are responsible. All of us. Every purchase made on Amazon instead of a local store or a mall. Every decision to stay home and shop online instead of driving somewhere and interacting with actual humans. Every time we chose convenience and low prices and free shipping over the complicated and sometimes unpleasant experience of physical retail and actual human interaction. The mall died because we killed it. We stopped going. We stopped caring. We found something easier and cheaper and more convenient, and we chose that instead without thinking about the consequences or what we were losing. And now we live in the world we created, a world where shopping is frictionless and isolating and completely divorced from any human connection, where you can buy literally anything you want without ever speaking to another human being or leaving your house or even putting on pants, where the warehouse workers processing your orders are invisible to you, their labor extracted and discarded as ruthlessly as the mall stores, and their employees were extracted and discarded. The conditions they work under, the quotas they must meet, the constant surveillance they endure, all invisible to you, all hidden behind the interface and the fast shipping and the low prices. Progress. This is what progress looks like when you strip away the marketing slogans and face the reality without flinching. The Amazon Fulfillment Center on the former site of Randall Park Mall operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, never stopping, never slowing. Trucks arrive and depart in constant rotation. The workers come in shifts, 10 hours of scanning boxes and moving inventory and meeting algorithmically determined quotas that increase annually regardless of human limits. No fountains where children throw pennies. No places to rest beyond mandated breaks, timed to the second. No windows, no natural light, no illusions of anything beyond pure extraction of labor and value in service of logistical efficiency and profit margins. The site is more productive now than it ever was as a mall, if productivity is measured purely in dollars per square foot or units processed per hour. More square footage utilized, more transactions completed, more profit generated. By every meaningful economic metric that capitalism recognizes and rewards, the Amazon warehouse is objectively superior to what came before. More efficient, more profitable, better optimized. But it's a graveyard built on top of another graveyard. The ghosts of 4,000 mall workers haunt that acre of land. The memory of 30 million annual visitors lingers in air that's now filtered and temperature-controlled for robots rather than humans. And the fountain, crushed and buried somewhere in a landfill under tons of garbage, collects no more wishes. The children who threw pennies into its waters in 1976 and 1980 and 1985 are adults now, middle-aged or older. Some of them probably work in warehouses like the one that replaced the place where they once made wishes. Their wishes didn't come true. They never do. There's a phrase in economics that's supposed to justify all of this: creative destruction. The idea that capitalism progresses by destroying old industries and creating new ones. That this destruction is necessary and good because what replaces the old is better, more efficient, more productive. The buggy whip makers lost their jobs when cars were invented, but automotive workers gained jobs, and society overall benefited from better transportation. Progress requires sacrifice. You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. All the comfortable cliches we tell ourselves. The mall destroyed Main Street, killed it, drained it of life and customers and vitality, and left it to rot. Amazon is destroying the mall through the same process of creative destruction. Something will eventually destroy Amazon, though it's genuinely hard to imagine what that might look like. The cycle continues, each iteration supposedly more efficient, more streamlined, more optimized for profit, and less human every single time. Randall Park Mall was human in ways the warehouse that replaced it will never be. Deeply flawed and built on questionable economic premises and complicit in suburban segregation and white flight and the destruction of urban cores, but fundamentally human. You could smell the cinnamon rolls from the bakery. You could hear the fountain's water cascading. You could watch people and make eye contact with strangers. You could get lost in the corridors and ask another human being for directions. You could experience the small frictions and unpredictable accidents that constitute actual life lived in physical proximity to other humans. The warehouse is not human. It's the deliberate absence of humanity. It's the logical endpoint of retail capitalism, stripped of all pretense and sentiment. Pure function, pure efficiency, no waste, no beauty, no space for anything that doesn't directly contribute to profit margins and shareholder value and quarterly earnings reports. If we're being brutally honest with ourselves, we prefer it this way. The convenience outweighs the loss. We don't miss the malls enough to support them with our actual purchasing behavior. We don't miss Main Street enough to shop there instead of clicking buy now with free 2-day shipping. We say we value community and public space and human connection. but our choices reveal the truth. We value low prices and convenience and not having to put on pants to shop more than we value those other things. We vote with our wallets every single day, and we voted for this. We chose this. This is the world we wanted. Randall Park died because we stopped caring. Or maybe because we never cared deeply enough to begin with. It was convenient for a while. Then it became inconvenient compared to alternatives. Then it became irrelevant. Then it became rubble. Then it became an Amazon warehouse processing packages for people who have no idea what was there before and wouldn't care even if you told them. The transformation took 39 years from opening to warehouse, a single human lifetime from birth through death to resurrection as something completely unrecognizable. The final irony is that Randall Park is forgotten, almost completely erased from collective memory. Ask anyone under 30 about it, and they'll look at you with blank incomprehension. Ask anyone over 50, and you might get a glimmer of recognition. Oh yeah, that big mall out east? I think I went there once or twice back in the day. It was the largest mall in the entire world when it opened. It attracted 30 million visitors in its first year of operation. And within a single generation, it's been erased from memory as completely and thoroughly as if it never existed at all. This is the fate of all temples to commerce, all monuments to consumption. They exist to serve the present moment. They have no historical value beyond their immediate utility. No cultural significance that outlasts their ability to generate revenue. When the revenue stops flowing, they become disposable. The buildings are demolished. The land is repurposed for whatever comes next. The memory fades rapidly. The story is forgotten. But the memory should not fade entirely. Not because Randall Park was particularly good or important or worth preserving as it was, but because it was a perfect symbol of a specific moment in American history, the peak of the mall era, the height of suburban consumer culture, the moment right before everything changed, and we moved into whatever this current era we're living in turns out to be when historians look back. It matters because it shows us what we were and what we've become, and maybe, if we pay attention to the pattern, what we're becoming. There's no moral to extract from this story, no lesson about sustainability or responsible development or the importance of public space that will change anyone's behavior. People don't change based on cautionary tales from the past. Corporations don't change their strategies because someone points out the human cost of their decisions. The cycle will continue exactly as it has been. We'll build new temples to whatever comes next after Amazon. We'll populate them for a generation. We'll extract maximum value as quickly as possible. We'll abandon them when something marginally better or cheaper comes along. And we'll forget them almost immediately, because forgetting is easier than remembering and cheaper than caring. Randall Park Mall existed from 1976 to 2009, 33 years, 2.2 million square feet at its peak, 210 individual stores, 4,000 employees, 30 million annual visitors in the good years, a fountain made of Italian marble where children threw pennies and made wishes that never came true. All of it gone now. All of it demolished and hauled away to landfills. All of it forgotten, except in photographs circulated by urban explorers and nostalgic people who never actually went there when it was alive. Except here, in this story, in this act of remembering. Because someone has to remember. Someone has to document what was lost, even if what was lost was never really worth keeping in the first place. Even if the thing we're mourning is just another monument to waste and excess, and the peculiar American delusion that growth can continue forever without limits or consequences. The mall is dead. The mall will always be dead now. Long live the warehouse. But for 33 years, Randall Park was alive in its way, and the people who walked its corridors, who threw pennies in its fountain, who experienced first dates and family outings and ordinary moments of ordinary lives within its climate-controlled walls, they were alive too. Their memories, however faded and distorted by nostalgia and time, are the only monuments that remain. Everything else is dust and rubble and an Amazon warehouse processing packages for people who have no idea what came before or what was sacrificed to give them next day shipping. That's the story of Randall Park Mall. That's the story of American retail. That's the story of late capitalism eating itself. Build something magnificent. Extract every possible dollar. Abandon the corpse when it stops bleeding money. Forget it ever existed. Move on to the next extraction without looking back. The fountain is crushed. The pennies are buried. The wishes never came true. And somewhere in North Randall, Ohio, grass grows through the cracks in a parking lot that used to serve the largest shopping mall in the world. Nobody remembers. Nobody cares. The world moved on.